Eye opener for February 4th, 2026. We need solutions, not rhetoric. In 2018, Chris Osman wrote a book called Solutions: Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America. The primary goal of that book was to get people to compare and contrast what their leaders and the media said about the world, and then compare and contrast those claims and reports with what those same constituents and viewers saw in reality. A recent example that indicates the necessity for such analysis is when Trump said the American economy was an A++++ economy. While this, for most, had to be an apparent lie, for far too many, those words seemed honest and truthful, regardless of all statistics and even analytical data that people could use to determine the truthfulness in those words, or lack thereof. To the vast majority of Americans, I implore you to compare and contrast Trump's proclamation to what you see as far as the economies of your friends and families are concerned. Do any of them seem to be living in an American economy that could be described as an A+++ economy? A secondary goal of the book was to point out the historical significance of the way that America treated both its allies and enemies. Relationships that, regardless of their nature, always only seem to benefit America, or more accurately, the elite and wealthiest of Americans, more so than any other party or parties. While this is what should be expected in any negotiations between two nations, the outcomes always seem to be the infliction of a maximum of harm to those other nations and the citizens of those nations, as well as to far too many American citizens. The second and third goals were meant to reinforce the primary goal as follows: to point out the fact that we need solutions, not merely rhetoric that only serves to reiterate the biggest problems that we face as a species. At the time that this book was written, most people knew and understood the biggest threats facing humanity, but for the most part, their leaders and the media only seemed to point out the problems while rarely pointing towards any possible solutions. The book that Mr. Osman wrote, however, did and does still provide solutions from the author as well as others. It offered answers despite the reluctance of others to not only acknowledge facts, but to also ignore obvious trends indicating America's downward spiral. An ignorance exhibited and exacerbated by an electorate willing to put identity above policy, and those actions exhibited by leaders who had failed to help the majority for decades in some cases. And the third goal, which sought to help Americans discover their country's true history in order that they might see the harm that their leaders had caused to their country and the world. To find out for yourself, pick up a copy of Chris Osman's book titled Solutions: Enough Complaining, Let's Fix America on Amazon. And for more videos like this, and those that ask questions that need to be asked, check out the YouTube channel by Chris Osman. Just search CHRIS space OSSMAN with the term Daily Eye Opener, and find out why there are more and more conspiracies and fewer conspiracy theories in the world today. And while you're there, please like the videos and subscribe to the YouTube channel so Chris can continue posting these truths.